Hello everyone, here I will present you how do I make scientific figures using MATLAB and PowerPoint. I'm making this video because I noticed some of you that I'm working together with are now notice some small tricks within the MATLAB and the PowerPoint. And I also see you're trying to accomplish a lot of very difficult layout within MATLAB, but you could have done it in PowerPoint. So I thought maybe I show you how I make my figures in general. Maybe it can help you in some cases. All the data and the code I'm using here, I will upload them to the Teams page. Here is some experimental data we captured that different insect activity patterns at different canopy layers are along a reinforced edge. Right now this figure looks rather messy and dirty as all the three activity patterns curves are plotted on top of each other. So what we want to do now is using a function in MATLAB called subplot and plot this three activity pattern as its own subfigures. Here is a guide of how you use the subplot functions. And in my case, if I wish to make a horizontal layout subplot, this is the code I use. And in MATLAB, you could just resize your figures by just dragging the figure windows. You can adjust in the height and width of the total of the three figures until something you're satisfied with. Now we wish to copy this figure into MATLAB. This is what not to do. I have seen students using a snapping tool and snapping over the figures and then copy this entire thing into the PowerPoint. There's two problems. The background is like gray, but when you use a snapping tool, I mean you can get away with it in PowerPoint if you click here color, set transparent color, then click the gray background. You can make it transparent, but in MATLAB you can just click edit and copy figure. Then you actually get a vectorized figure. So what's the difference? When you use the snapping tool and make the figures, your figure are actually quite blurred and pixelized. This thing, the one you copied, is a vectorized image, so no matter how much you zoom in, it will not get blurred. So I would recommend doing so rather than doing a snapshot of it. So here you make your figure, which is horizontally, but if you want to have your figure, for example, vertically, you can do so as well. It's just some setting to change in the subplot about the direction, how you place the figures. Here's the example code of how to do a vertical layout. So in my case, now I made the figure vertically. We can keep them both. So I copy figure. Now I bring it here. You can decide between a horizontal or vertical layout, depends on what your final image will look like. In my case, because I'm making this image together with some other figures later, the vertical layout will suit me the best. As you can see, this is the final image I'm aiming at. So now you made your figures, but the font size is rather small. I would highly recommend, for example, change the line width to much higher. By default, it is a line width of 1, and this is a font size of 10. I would change it to line width of 2 and the font size of 20. And as you can see, so this is what I will have. But as right now, this legend is a little bit in the way. I can show you how to deal with it later. And we want the legends as well. So a quick silly way to do it is you just run this figure again. The legends here. But obviously, right now I only want to keep copy the legend. I don't want to see this figure anymore. I want to have like a clean space for this legend. So what you do is you click this arrow in MATLAB. You edit plot. You can move things or even delete things. Yeah, it's not the smartest way, but it's like a easy, quick, lazy way. So now I finish. Then I copy figure. Then I go back to my plot. If I want that legend, I just do crop and do this. And because this is a vectorized image, you see, so no matter what you do, because you copy directly from MATLAB, you would not lose resolutions. However, this figure can be further improved. As you can see, there's still a lot of empty space between the subfigures, and all the subfigures share the same x-axis, so we could just save up the space for them. And this is much easier to do in PowerPoint than doing it in MATLAB directly. I will show you how I do it. So all I did here was just copying this vector image one more time and just cropping the small figures one by one using the PowerPoint cropping functions, and then align all the figures together. And then now I get rid of all the y-axes and then adjust the spacing between them. And again, for all the three subfigures, as all their y-axes are showing the same labels, and therefore I will just write a very large labels that were just indicating this is the same labels for all three of them. Never forget to include in unit for your figures. At the same time, when you have many subfigures, remember to label them. So now let's say this is my final figures that I'm satisfied with, where I have including the activity pattern for different canopy layers, and I have my other figures I want to include in together with. But you can see right now this figure consists of many small other figures. So we're going to be very careful when we save or copy these figures to another document, such as Word. Then I will select all the figure, group them, and I will Ctrl+C, copy it. And in our group, most of the time we write manuscript in the Word. There are some tricks to dealing how to make the figure properly stay and in its place in the Word. I will also show you soon. But first of all, let's paste this figure into the Word. Since I just paste the figure as how it is with everything grouped up together, as you can see, I still can select individual shapes just by itself. This is a very bad idea because, as you can see, if not I resize the whole thing together, the whole image is actually completely messed up. Because I think Word just doesn't know what to do with this. And because this is a figure in Word, it also means your text will go everywhere. The solution I suggest you to do first is in the Word, you insert a table. If you have a table, that means when you place the figure in here, at least the figure is not going to the other place. So if you have a figure, let's see if we take this thing, or have it as a figure here. The figure will just always stay inside this. I think it's a good habit because the table itself also roughly tells out the waist of your figure, how big it can be, rather than sometimes when your figure is too big, then it cuts out. I think it's nice. So you put out the table, and you put your figure here, then you can go to table layout, you put the figure in the center, then you write down your captions as the figure 1, right? Then you do that. And later, when you write your text and you need you send in this whole thing to the journal, you can click the table, then you go to table design, borders, no borders. Then you can hide the black lines if you found it ugly. So we're gonna deal with this. You can't just copy the whole figure from PowerPoint and paste into Word. They will break. You see, everything is broken here, so it's bad. We don't want them. So again, we go to table. You insert like this, and then now we go back to the PowerPoint. No, sorry, it's this one. When you select everything, you copy it. It's grouped it. But when you paste it in the Word, you can right-click and click this, paste as a picture. So what this means is not everything is pasted as a whole image. No matter how you click the image, it doesn't show you some small figures anymore. This is almost equal as when you go back to the PowerPoint, you right-click and you click Save as a picture. It basically did the same thing. And sometimes I also heard suggestions that you could just print screen. Then you go to the Word, and you paste it, then of course, and you crop it to your image. I don't like this methods. I know somebody say this is better because at least if you print screen, you always make sure what you see on your PowerPoint is what you presented here. But I don't like it's pixelized. You can achieve the same thing by just, like I showed you, I can show you it again. You go back, you click your image, make sure you click and copy and group everything. Or you don't even have to group it. Look, I didn't group it. Now I didn't group it. I select everything, I copy it. I go to my Word. I right click and paste as image. Okay, so now you have an image. Then you go to the table layout, you click it centralize. Now you have figure 2. Okay, so this is how I do it. So now because it's pasted as an image directly from the vector files, they have less of the pixelization issue. So as I can keep, I don't know, make it the image larger and larger, you can see it's still rather sharp. It's still pretty sharp compared to a print screen. This is what I will recommend to do. Just paste everything as a figure. So then the next thing is related to the first color image. This is also just some small tricks, because for example, when you do the hyperspectral image, sometimes when you make your first color image, everything is rather dark. But this can actually be done. You just go to your figure image, you just times, I don't know, times 2. You change intensity to 2 times. Now it's more bright. I want it to be brighter, so now I put it to times 3. So now I'm rather satisfied with this figure.